There is something blocking your life, and it's not what you think. If this is the first video you're watching, you didn't get here by accident. This is a series, and what you're about to understand can completely change the way you see money, your mind, and your life. Because no one ever explained this to you. Poverty doesn't begin when you lack money. It begins long before that. It starts in the way you think, in what you believe, and in what you accepted as truth without questioning it. And this might make you uncomfortable. There are people who work every day, who try hard, who do everything right, and still feel stuck. Why? Because you can change what you do, but if you don't change how you think, your life will always return to the same place. And the most dangerous part, many of those thoughts aren't even yours. You inherited them. Phrases like, money is hard. It's not for everyone. Life is a struggle. They stayed in your mind and slowly built the reality you're living today. But this is where everything starts to change. Because in this series, you're going to start seeing what you couldn't see before. And this is just the beginning. The Bible reveals something most people overlook. And once you understand it, you start seeing your life differently. In Proverbs 23:7 it says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. It doesn't say, as he works. It doesn't say, as he tries. It says, as he thinks. And that changes everything. Because it means your current reality is not random. It is a direct reflection of what exists inside you. Your thoughts, your beliefs, what you silently repeat every day without even noticing. And here is the deeper part. God is not limited by your situation, but your mind can limit what God wants to do in your life. Because if you don't believe, if you doubt, if you think from scarcity, you will unconsciously reject opportunities, sabotage your own decisions, and keep yourself small, even when you could grow. Not because you can't, but because you learn to think in a way that keeps you exactly where you are. And this is something you need to understand. God doesn't work first on your money. He works on your mind. Because when your mind changes, your life has no choice but to change too. And this explains more than you realize. Now let me tell you something that can completely change the way you see your life. The problem was never money, and I know that might be hard to accept. But think about this for a moment. If money were the problem, then everyone who has it would be happy, calm, and free. But they're not. At the same time, there are people who started with nothing and built an entirely different life. So what changed? It wasn't money. It was mindset. Because money doesn't transform you. It only amplifies what already exists inside you. If there is fear, it multiplies it. If there is insecurity, it exposes it. If there is scarcity in your mind, even with money, you will still live afraid of losing it. And here's the truth almost nobody tells you. You don't have a financial problem. You have a mental pattern, an invisible pattern that repeats in your decisions, your thoughts, and in the way you react to life. And as long as that pattern doesn't change, you can earn more money, but your life will always return to the same level. Not because you can't grow, but because your mind will always bring you back to what it considers normal. And this is where things get serious, because it means that if you don't change your mind, nothing outside will last. And this is where it starts to feel uncomfortable, because maybe, without realizing it, you've been repeating this pattern your entire life. Look at your decisions, the times you wanted to try something new, but hesitated. The opportunities that showed up, but you felt like they weren't for you. The ideas you had, but never acted on. It wasn't lack of ability. It was fear. A quiet fear that doesn't scream, but whispers things like, what if it doesn't work? What if I lose what I already have? What if I'm not enough? And so, you stay where you are, not because you want to, but because your mind makes it feel safe. And the most dangerous part is, over time, you get used to it. You get used to living limited, thinking small, not expecting much from life. And you start calling that reality, when in truth, it's just a reduced version of what your life could be. Because deep down, you know you're capable of more. You feel it. But there is something inside you that always stops you right before you move forward. And that something is not outside. It's inside you. And until you see it clearly, you will keep repeating the same cycle, again and again, without understanding why. Let me show you this in a different way. There was a moment in the Bible when a man was completely surrounded by lack. He had no resources, no guarantees, no security. And from a human perspective, everything pointed to failure. But here's what's interesting. The problem was never what was outside. It was what was inside. Because before his situation changed, God first changed the way he saw. He showed him something he couldn't see with his eyes, but that already existed. And in that moment, everything started to shift, not because money suddenly appeared, but because his mindset stopped aligning with scarcity and started aligning with promise. And this is where it connects to you, because many times you are looking at your life through what's missing, through what you don't have, through what hasn't happened yet. And that makes you feel limited. But what God does doesn't begin outside. It begins by changing what you see, what you believe, and what you accept as possible. Because when that shifts, what once seemed impossible starts to take form. And maybe your life is not blocked. You're just not seeing what God has already prepared for you. And this is the moment where everything starts to make sense. You are not stuck. You are conditioned. Conditioned to think a certain way, to react in certain patterns, to see life from the same limited perspective. And the most powerful part is, you don't even question it, because to you, it became normal. Normal to doubt, normal to feel fear, normal to think it's not for you. But what is normal is not always true. And this is where real transformation begins. Not when you change what you do, but when you realize you've been living inside an invisible pattern. A pattern that defines how much you allow yourself to grow, how much you allow yourself to earn, and how far you believe you can go. And as long as that pattern remains, it doesn't matter how hard you try, your life will always return to the same level. Not because you lack potential, but because your mind has a limit, and everything in your life starts adapting to that limit. But the moment you see this clearly, that pattern begins to lose its power. And for the first time, you realize something powerful. You don't need a new opportunity. You need a new mindset. So how do you begin to change this? Not with force, not with pressure, and not overnight. You start with something much simpler, but much more powerful. Awareness. Because you can't change something you're not clearly seeing. The first step is observing your own thoughts, the phrases you repeat silently, the beliefs you assume are true, the decisions you make from fear, because that's where the pattern lives. The second step is to question it. Ask yourself, is this actually true, or is this something I learned? And that moment changes everything, because what once felt certain starts to lose its power. And the third step is to replace it, not with illusion, but with truth, with what God says, not what fear repeats. Because when you begin to align your mind with truth, something inside you reorganizes. Your decisions change, your energy changes, your actions change, and slowly, your life begins to reflect that. This is not magic, it's internal transformation. And when that happens, what once felt impossible starts to feel natural. And at this point, there is something you need to decide, because now you know. You can't say you don't understand what's happening inside you anymore. You can't look at your life the same way, because you've seen the pattern. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The question now is not whether you can change. The real question is, are you willing to? Because changing your mindset is not just thinking differently. It's letting go of the version of you that got used to living limited. It's releasing beliefs that stayed with you for years. It's facing thoughts that felt like truth. It's stepping out of a place that, even if uncomfortable, became familiar. And that requires a decision. But here's what's powerful. You are not alone in this process, because God doesn't just want you to understand this. He wants to transform you. He wants to take you to a life where you don't live in fear, where you don't think in scarcity, where you don't limit yourself to what you've always known. But that begins with you, with the moment you decide to stop accepting less and start believing in what is truly possible. And maybe this moment is the beginning of something far greater than you imagine. And if everything you've been feeling resonated with you in a deeper way, then you need to understand something. This doesn't end here, because awareness is only the first step. But real transformation happens when you begin to walk through the process consciously, day by day, thought by thought, decision by decision, because changing your mindset is not a moment, it's a process. And that's exactly why I created something deeper, a guide, not just to understand this, but to live it, a step-by-step path to align your mind with what God already wants to do in your life, not from pressure, but from direction. Because when you have direction, you stop feeling lost and you start moving forward with clarity. If you feel like this is your moment, if something inside you awakened while listening to this, maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe this is the beginning of something you need to take seriously. And sometimes, all it takes is deciding to take the next step. And now, I want you to remember this. Your life is not stuck. It's waiting for you to change the way you see it. Because from this moment, you can no longer say you didn't know. You've seen the pattern. You've understood the root. You've felt that something inside you needs to change. And that is where everything begins. But this doesn't end here, because in the next episode, you're going to understand something even deeper. Why God doesn't want you to live in scarcity, and what it truly means to live in abundance. Something that can completely change the way you see money and the way you start acting from today. So don't stop here. Follow this process. Allow yourself to move forward. And don't ignore what you felt today. And now I want you to do something. Comment, God is with me. Not as a phrase, but as a decision. And as you write it, notice how something inside you starts to shift. Because this is not just a video. It's the beginning of your transformation.